everybody. Welcome back to Nashville Unsigned, the news podcast. We're here covering all things digital and music news for the independent community, because there's a lot of you guys out there. Get over to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or search the news in Apple Podcasts to download this episode and the other episodes we've done because they're so awesome, and tell your friends about us. I am hanging with my business partners and music tech.
What up, everybody?
Gurus. We've got Nick Brown.
Hello.
I'm Amber Stoneman. This is Jared Rigsby.
Going on.
And Patrick Larney. So, you guys, we are talking today. We've kind of covered a little bit of, not everything, but a fourth of everything so far.
A fourth of everything.
So, there's a looming thing that's kind of going on right now with the independent community. You've got a lot of people that do not have management and some that do. Yep. So we're going to kind of really dive into management today.
Oh, yeah. Pros and cons.
Excellent.
MGMT.
It's essentially who can take what off your plate for you, I would say, as far as management goes. I mean, a lot of people are going this solo. It's a tough road to
Yeah, and someone with a little bit of experience, with interfacing and dealing with these specific people and,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, like right now, what are we seeing in the independent community? I know we kind of touched on this just a second. A lot of artists don't have management. Some do. What's the common thing that we're hearing why they don't have management?
That's a good question. I often meet more people who are managing artists than I meet artists who have managers. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I feel like most people go it alone.
Yeah.
And then a select few, depending on their needs and what they can find in management, will choose a manager. And, certain people line up. Yeah. Just nicely like that, like Mr. Patrick over here. Probably has more experience in the field.
I'm a manager myself, and I think that one of the biggest misconceptions, because I hear from people all the time, I need management, and they're looking for management. But I think that probably the most important thing that I can say about somebody who's looking for management is that you probably already know your manager. A manager isn't somebody with a wealth of connections. It's a believer, somebody who really believes in your project, because chasing a manager is going to put you behind the eight ball right off the bat. And the reason I say that is because if you've got a manager who is working with other bands, and then you say, oh man, I wish I had, this manager or something like that, they might have the connections, but their belief is probably in the band they're already managing. And for you to kind of come in there and take time away from that other person is not going to be beneficial for you, and it's not going to be beneficial for them either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it often seems like people look at managers as the business aspect of their whole project. You come in as an artist, you want to make your song, you want a song right, you want to record, you obsess over these other things. You're not thinking, how do I promote myself? How do I get my name out there and stuff like that? And I feel like most of the time managers help bridge that gap and kind of making you think of your art more as a business once you have a manager.
That's what, the question is, what is a manager? So a manager, think about corporate America. You've got McDonald's. Well, McDonald's has employees, and they have management, and they have supervisors, and each one plays a different role. You're not going to be able to play all roles, and if you do, I know a lot of you guys bootstrap just like a startup business would, and you start out wearing all the hats.
Oh, yeah.
As you start to gain momentum, you have to learn how to give hats away. I can even attest to this in the startup world, which is, it's parallel with artists. But, the manager oversees the entire project, and it sees the big picture of what the entire project looks like. Your supervisors are going to manage your employees and then push toward those milestone goals. So what is the manager? It's the person who directs the entire project. And what do they do? I think you nailed it. Jared nailed it by saying, they handle a lot of the business aspect of things to allow your mind to stay on the opposite side of the brain, which is the creativity side. The analytical and strategic side of business needs to be if you can't house that, you have to get somebody in there that can, and that can focus and run full time in the business side, and you can run full time on the creative side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that what's really important is that it's somebody who understands your brand and your vision, but also has a kind of creative bone in their body. Because, what might be a good flag is this my future manager? Pay attention to the things that they're saying. If somebody's saying something like, you know what you guys should do? That's a flag right there.
Yeah.
That's somebody who understands your vision.
Yeah. Grow your hair out. Turn to glam rock.
Yeah. You know what somebody I think is really good or whatever? Somebody who's a believer in that. But not somebody who's committed to somebody else. But then also the thing that, Amber said is this person's got to be analytical in their mindset. They have to be data oriented and understand how to run this thing as a manager. As a band grows, there are a lot of different verticals. And a lot of people say, I need a manager that understands this and this and this and this. They don't need to understand all that. You need to bring somebody in that can do that piece, that vertical, as a full-time job. And then your manager is just coordinating them, such as, you're going to need a PR company. You're going to need a designer. You're going to need some sort of streaming pitch. You're going to need merchandise or somebody on sales or something like that.
Logistics overall, man. That's
booking
just crazy.
Opportunities that will come from the creative side of that, that person. But once you have all those teams set to be working, 8 hours a day or whatever on all those things, then the manager is literally just holding those people accountable and making sure that all those things happen for the people that they believe in. And that's what a manager says. Going back to what Amber said, at even McDonald's or something like that. How many employees do you have? Does the manager know how to, dip the fries so they're perfectly crispy? Maybe not, but he is sure as shit knows that he's a college needs boy. To make sure that the person that does know how to do that is doing it.
Yeah.
That's what a manager is. It's just a person to move around all the pieces and just make sure it makes sense.
So what do you guys think about this? So a lot of the, my friends that are in bands and a lot of the bands that I've met, their first manager is one of their friends.
Yeah.
And then also kind of more of a business-minded fan. So is that really, it's almost an organic process. So, you're building your fan base. And of course, you might have some friends in there, hopefully. But, if they're more of the business mind and share your vision, then, it's almost an organic process for people to get that first manager sort of role. Is that a good thing to do for bands, or should they kind of hold out and, what?
I mean, I think that they have to think about the revenue that they're making. Can they afford to give away part of the pie? And that's a good time to think, when do you need a manager? When you start to feel that there are opportunities that can bring you more money, but you don't have the time to do it yourself, then you need to free time up as an artist. In other words, to write more, to record more, to sing more, to do the artist thing. And you need somebody else to take those things off of your plate, right? A manager should be able to answer every question about you. And that's why I think, a good friend or something like that, or, even, people laugh at a momager, right? But she has all the answers, I'll tell you that much.
Those typically are the worst to work with.
They usually are.
Freaking Macaulay Culkin dad style,
Michael Jackson had a great relationship with his father.
Right. Or like Jessica Simpson. I think she had the dad management. Which is weird when you think about it.
Wow. And that's not to throw a relative underneath the bus as a manager, because they do have all the answers, and obviously they have your best interest in mind, which is a very important piece of the management thing.
Yeah.
But you also have to, make sure that you pick somebody, if it's going to be a relative, pick somebody who, wants to take input from you and doesn't want to take the wheel themselves, because that's not good either.
Yeah, I think that, another question, because we kind of went over, how do I find and select a manager, which was kind of what you were talking about. And is a manager all I need? I think that's a common question in the independent community. And no, absolutely not. They are a piece to your puzzle. You are the CEO of your brand. That manager is your COO, which is a chief operating officer. But you build out an entire team. Like your manager isn't the end all be all. That's not the only thing that you need. They'll probably help put some other key pieces in place. But at the end of the day, man, like you do need a manager, but you've got to be willing to work more hours, way more hours than your manager's working. Like you definitely have to be on the grind and pulling a lot of that weight. Again, wearing a lot of hats until you can give them away, until you scale out enough to be able to give them away.
What do you think would be the most beneficial thing to push towards your manager initially? What do you think would be the first thing
to cover?
Yeah,
things to get time back on your plate.
Well, to assist and ensuring that everything's completed. To allow for more creative time. What would you guys recommend as the first thing?
I think that social media is something that an artist can do themselves.
Oh yeah,
I think that
it needs
I
that
think they
personal
should.
touch.
I think they should.
They should because of the personal touch.
Bit more organic.
If it's looking like I see some artists and they're having, you can see it's coming from their team, and you don't feel connected at all. At all.
So those are the types of things I think that you can field yourself as an artist. Where you benefit from having somebody else represent you is probably B2B or business to business, because what ends up happening is you have somebody representing you. You have somebody who already believes in you, right? And so it's great when somebody calls and says, "Hi, I'm Swin, and I manage Kenny Foster," right? Instead of Kenny calling saying, "Can I play your venue?" You know what I mean? So that's what I think a manager, somebody who understands your vision, but it also has that creative bone that I was talking about before that says, hey, how can we take this vision and what opportunities can I come up with that are outside the box but that don't take away from your brand, that strengthen your brand to free up the time and to gain and farm opportunities for you.
So would you say that's a significant legitimizer for a band interfacing with other businesses to have a manager? Like, would you say that maybe doubles your ability to?
I mean, I definitely do, because I don't think that there's a lot of people out there that want to waste time on somebody who's not good. Right? Yeah. So if somebody believes in you, then that's already somebody other than your mom and you. You know what I mean? So I think it definitely legitimizes somebody. If I had, Amber takes calls all the time and takes, pitches for Nashville Unsigned all the time. But I do know that when management reaches out to us, I mean, we still have to send the people through the site, but when it's management, we kind of already know that, like, there's probably going to be an elevated quality of this artist because somebody's behind them working with them.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have a manager, might be beneficial to at least pretend like you have a manager.
I can't even tell you how many times I've heard through artists. I have done this for artists before. But I have called venues and I've called other digital magazines and news outlets on behalf. And that's the thing, man. Like, if you're reaching out directly, to media or whatever, you better have, your package together.
Oh, yeah.
If you're reaching out directly without a manager, but more than likely, I mean, we do. I mean, if you guys are signing up for Nashville Unsigned, do it because it's awesome and you guys are part of something that is bigger than ourselves. But if you have management, it definitely makes us look like, whoa, they're really doing this and they're doing it in a serious way. So
I mean, I think the perspective is that these artists are busy with so much that they need somebody else to help them field what's coming in. Then you've already kind of elevated, your worth, if you will.
Yeah.
So these are independent artists on an independent budget. How do they pay management? So that's a common question. How do you pay management?
Yeah. Get a piece of the pie.
I would say this, a manager, somebody who believes in you, should be working on an ROI. Or a commission base. And the reason is because as an independent artist, you don't have a lot of money to be putting out, an extra $500 a month. But if they're getting, let's say, 15% of what you're making, well, now it's like, okay, I want 15%. I better bust my butt because at the end of the month, if I'm making $50, I'm not really benefiting.
It's all about making that win-win. Win-win situation.
Yeah, so give them incentive to work and create opportunities for you, and not just opportunities for exposure, because as we once heard in a conference, you can die from exposure. As well, you know, and I think that I think you have to remember that if the manager is working for something that's going to get you paid, well, then you're going to have the money to pay them, right? So I think a percentage is really kind of the only way to go about managing.
Yeah. Especially like when you first start off. I remember my experience when me and Nick first started out. We were like making T-shirts and like websites for our friends' bands, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like really like you would see kids just running up like, you know what, I'm going to be a manager for this band. The same as we're like, you know what, we're going to be a website that promotes these bands,
Sure.
you know, like some 18 to 20 year old, you know, but even at that point, it's like everyone is getting their feet wet at the same time, especially if you have this like ROI setup. You can bring your friends. If you're like way young in this and just getting into it and your friend wants to manage your band, I say go for it. Because,
I think it's the best thing. I really do.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, they have to be serious about it, right?
Well,
A lot of people talk, but like that's where you're gonna have to judge it. You can't judge on experience quite yet, but if they have the ability to help, like even just like logistically, like
just drive. If they just have drive.
Help us
Drive and
get our
passion.
stuff in there, and then like you're our manager, and then you know we all grow together.
Yeah,
I think
that's exactly what it is. I
I
think.
saw that a lot, and I think people really blossomed from that.
Yeah, I think going in like that, where you have people, I mean, Nashville Unsigned, we've grown up with the artists from class 1 and class 2 and class 3. So these artists are rising and we're rising at the same time and we're bringing each other up together. And I think that there's going to be, if you have passion and drive, if that manager has passion and drive, those are two things that you can't teach. Those are things that you're born with. And if that passion and drive is directed toward your band, you're going to have much better luck with a friend than being a part of a big roster at, dare I say it, Red Light Management. But if there's tons of managers and they're juggling multiple artists, like if you had one friend that loves and cares about you and is passionate and driven, then take that one, hands down.
Absolutely.
Passionate and driven part are very key to that because they don't necessarily have to have the experience yet, but if they have the passion and the drive and you know it and it's proven and it's not just talk, then you can expect good things from them.
Yeah.
Because everyone will learn.
And another thing that I think is really important, when you're picking somebody, you have to make sure that this person has good grammar and knows how to speak professionally.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be sending a lot of emails.
It's like your intro to PR, essentially.
Yeah,
Your manager is
like
your first step.
80% of a manager's work is sending emails.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if there's love and there's passion behind that email, and, you know, you can't sell anything unless you believe in it yourself, right? So if they believe in you and they can speak professionally and be grammatically correct, you know, you don't want like LOL, love management. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I think that's really important. And then get after businesses. In every business that you can think that rolls into your brand, that's who your manager needs to be speaking to as well. What are your opportunities? And socialite. They got to be a socialite. They have to be, you know, be able to introduce themselves to whatever suit is in the room.
A networker.
Just like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Your manager should be out 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
That's
You
true,
know, around
Your manager
other-
should be an alcoholic.
yeah.
Manager is probably an
Or at least can
alcoholic.
hang. At least can hang.
yeah.
So another thing, like I know we're talking management and stuff, but this is a business and we are here to give you business advice. And you are not going to start a business without having a contract in place. And if you do not have a contract in place, this is problem number one. And if you have management right now and you do not have a contract that is signed by both parties and dated, you better go do that right now.
Yeah.
Because that is a very, very, very important piece. And you hear horror stories of stuff like that happening in and out of the music industry more often than not. And so it is very important. Shout out Colin Mayer, Maher, whiskeyghossentertainment.com. He is an entertainment attorney here in Nashville, also works with a little bit of like copyright and syncing and licensing. So if you don't know where to go to get a contract whipped up, Colin can do that in a second. He's got, you know, a basic format to be able to knock that out for you guys. But a contract, I think, is very imperative. You're not going to start a business without having some legal paperwork in place.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, I don't have to do that because they're my friend,"
Nope.
or whatever. I'm
Protect
telling
the
you something-
relationship.
Exactly. A contract is the savior of your friendship. So if you care about your friendship, get a contract.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of artists fail. And I'm talking, have that person, that entertainment attorney that can do a little bit of everything. Because honestly, actually, your management's not the one that sits down with the label and decides what your contract looks like. Your lawyer is the one who decides what your contract looks like. So if you do want to get signed with a label one day, if you want to pitch to film and TV and have your stuff synced and licensing and all that good stuff, you will have to have an attorney at one point. And so we did the whole, like, your band as a business and talking about legalizing your entity as a LLC. Like, let that manager take you through, or that lawyer take you through the entire process. But you got to have a relationship with your attorney.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the things I had written down was, I think we kind of covered when do you bring a manager in, right?
Yeah.
Where do you find management? I think we kind of hit on that too. I think another cool place too, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, or if there's a music school in your area, hit that place up. Like Belmont and MTSU, there are kids and music business kids that are just itching to be able to manage their first band or to get a resume going in the music industry. So again, it's got to all make sense with the passion and the drive and the vision and the project. But if you're looking for a plethora of potential management in one place and you don't know where to go and you don't have any friends, then hit up MTSU or Belmont and get in their network.
Yeah, you don't have any friends, go to college.
Yeah.
Those are the best networkers, man.
You can buy them.
Those are the best networkers.
They really are, especially here in Nashville, Belmont, MTSU. I hung around the MTSU crowd back in college, the old college days. But that's where I met a lot of these guys. They were just starting off, and me and Nick were starting off, and then they just segued like, I'm gonna do management, and then they segue into like PR or business, or if you want to become a manager, I think that's a good time to start. Is because there's always house shows or house parties. You're at that age where it's like life's just kind of like whatever. I'm just figuring things out. So
something else I'd like to add. If there's somebody, and you're looking for management, don't walk up to your potential manager and, hi, nice to meet you. I'm looking for management. It's the wrong, it's the wrong angle.
That's
man.
awkward.
And the reason is because you're basically saying, what can you do for me? And you don't even know if you can trust this person yet. Like I said, the one of the most important things is that they're a believer. If they haven't heard your music yet, don't ask them to manage you.
Is it kind of like dating? You have to they have to fall in love with you before you can really talk to them.
And so I think if there's somebody that you think is a potential manager, like Amber said, MTSU or some of these colleges that are around here, maybe talk to those people and try to learn from them and say, hey, what this is my project and blah, blah. What do you think I could do?
Yeah.
Right. And manage yourself for a little bit, but learn who they are and what their ideas are. And then after you've had a little bit of a relationship with them, then gauge whether or not they believe in your project.
Yeah.
If they do believe in your project, then maybe that's a conversation you want to have. But don't open with, will you be my manager?
In business, it's called, so with investors and team members, and we courted for quite some time. But they call it courting your investors or courting your team. You never want to jump into a team and not really know what makes these people tick, because you're kind of married to them in business, and you don't want to get the wrong investor or the wrong partners in your business that don't share the same vision. So it's definitely a courting process. You're not dating, but you're getting to know these people and what makes them tick. And at some point, if you don't believe that it's the right vision, then cut the cancer and get it out. So, but that is very, very, very strategic on your end. You've got to make sure that you are putting the right people in the right place at the right time with the right vision. But
Absolutely.
The other thing that I was going to say is people out there that want a manager and think, oh, if I get a manager, then I can just sit back and not do anything. Oh, and that's the wrong thing too, man. Every business out there, I heard this recently, and this is just it's fantastic. Actually, it was in one of our Nashville Unsigned wild sections where somebody said, hey, every other job that you have, you work 8 hours a day.
Cooper the band.
Yeah.
Damn.
Why would you think for 1 second that if you're going to be a musician,
You're not working full time.
You're not working
Right.
40 hours a week. You're wrong. Actually, you should be working 60 hours a week
Yeah.
if you really want it. And if you're working, 60 hours a week and you bring on a manager that's going to work 20 hours a week, you do not say, now I work 40 hours a week. No, now you have 80 hours a week moving forward. It's not going to relieve you of any of your work time.
I feel
It's a
like
wrong concept.
It's kind of like the trap people get in when they want to be, entrepreneur with a capital E.
God, and just hire out their whole team off rip.
And they realize it's like, man, this is more work than I thought it would be.
They're like, shit, my investor that I just paid out like 75 grand salary to 4 people out of the gate. And you're like, what?
That's why it only works with
Kind of
love. You gotta love what you do to put that kind of work into it. And it's the same with music. You gotta love what you do, but you also got to put in work just for the sake of doing it. Just for the sake of, here's your time on earth.
You're not going to make it if you don't work. You're just not going to make it if you don't work. And I am watching, we're all watching our alumni class 1 to 9 and even 10 coming in soon. And just the majority of them, common denominator is just they're hard workers. And you can make a successful living if you don't have to you don't have to make enough money to live in a mansion and have your own jet. You just need to be able to live off of a comfortable income. And so with that, I am also going to say that if you are looking for management and you think that you're just so badass and you can hit up one of these people if you're looking for bigger management, I think there's AM Only is a management company, creative artist agency, booking and management, Paradigm, ICM Partners, William Morris, Cinematic Music Group, C3 Management, CSP Music Group, and 360 Music Group. Do you guys have any others to add to like management groups?
That's a pretty extensive list.
Sorry, I came prepared today.
Your John Wayne heroics are making the rest of us look bad.
I came prepared.
Patrick over here, Mr. Hope Tree Entertainment. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
He does the thing.
I can consult.
He can consult. Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys, with everything that we dropped on you today, I mean, you guys pretty much have some resources that you need to either manage yourself or get managed.
Yeah, and hop on the website. I think you might be able to find a manager around the community somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We're the Nashville
this
Unsigned
is a great
community.
network.
Yeah.
And if you're a manager and listening to this, join the community. Give some people a manager.
Guys, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Something
Yeah.
I think you might have left on the table, and I'm actually gonna. You mind hand me the mic right quick, and then I'm gonna hand it right back.
Ladies and
Our
gentlemen,
producer
Casey.
off camera.
Here's a question. So when you take on a friend as a manager, and they have the drive, they have the passion, they're the flags. Hey, this is what you should do. What if it works for a little bit and it doesn't work anymore? What if the creative vision that you have for your career differs from your manager's? How do you negotiate that?
Well, I
Exit
definitely think that the manager's exit strategy. I think your manager is working for you, right? And you have to remember that.
Cool.
yeah,
And-
that's a good point.
and they're there to help you with your business model. So they have to be creative and they have to have vision. But if they're taking you down a different road, well, then you're going to start. You're not going to be a musician. You're going to be an actor.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would also add in that would be something to consider during the paperwork when you're actually signing these legal contracts. Make something, and if we have a disagreement on the direction of this, where we can go our separate ways.
Well, and you have your courting time, so you'll have a lot of things will open up in that time frame. Then you'll have a contract that says within 6 months, if we don't feel like this is working out, then it can be dissolved.
So yeah, adding contingencies is the way to go. It's creating boundaries. It's like having a relationship.
Exactly.
And that's something that I really wanted to stress too, because that's something I think it's important when you bring on your friends.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah, there's
For
a
sure.
lot of elements that go into that. You're again court them in the business aspect of things because it could totally ruin the friendship.
Yeah,
Let's just be
wear
honest.
your fanciest hat.
exactly.
So definitely make sure that
That's
you're
in the
courting.
question I had for you guys.
Yeah. Well, that was
Wonderful.
a beautiful question, Casey. Thank you very much for that. And he's wearing his Nashville Unsigned
Yeah,
shirt
take him to
today.
Red Lobster and tell him it's over.
And stick him with the bill, bitches. I'm out. Dine and ditch. I'm going to the bathroom. There's a window. I'm out.
Dine and ditch.
I may or may not have done that before.
The bathroom window.
I'm like, that was too detailed.
Next level.
And then I get stuck in the window and I'm like, hey, somebody just came in. I'm like, get me out of here. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think we covered everything. And so we will be back next time.
Absolutely.
With, I don't even know what topic, but we'll let you know next week.
Sources of revenue, I believe.
We need to find a manager.
We were supposed to leave it blank. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, are we?
No, I'm joking with you.
All right. Well, guys, good luck finding a manager. And
Adios.
That's right.
Yeah, it's been real, y'all. Keep it fun. Later.
Nice.
Is that the most awkward exit of all time?
I know, right? You just like slowly like stair step out of here.